EA. What the hell happened? EA once held a special place in the games industry, a position they seemingly have taken for granted, and their fall from grace is plain for all of us to see. And with EA's latest release, Anthem, it's clear that we as gamers, or consumers of the medium, have reached a critical point with our relationship with EA. Now, this isn't an EA bashing video, because honestly, I used to love EA. They were probably my third favorite publisher behind Sony and Nintendo. Blech. That sounds gross to say now in 2019, man. But it's actually the truth. This isn't a games review video either, so I'm only here to highlight why EA was so great and how they became the biggest publisher in the industry, and the steps they took to decimate their relationship with the audience and land themselves in the position that they found themselves in today. Because this EA we have today, they wouldn't touch 95% of the games I'm going to talk about with a 10-foot pole, especially in the current games as a service addiction, because EA has proven time and time again it's not content with making a lot of money. They're only interested in making all of the money. So let's just get into it. During the 90s, EA had enjoyed growth and success with its FIFA, NBA, Madden, and Sims franchises. Even with superior competition from Konami's international superstar soccer franchise, EA still had a level of authenticity that Konami's ISS just couldn't achieve through its licensing of leagues, teams, and player names. However successful EA were in the 90s, it didn't hold a candle to the explosion of popularity and success EA had during its 2000s, releasing hit after hit, year in, year out, from an unprecedented catalogue which stemmed from such a diverse catalogue. Keyword here being diverse. I'm a 26-year-old gamer, so I'm a 90s baby, and for all of us 90s babies, EA's 1990s meant very little to us besides, playing their sports franchises between relatives and friends. However, the 2000s EA is where we fell in love with this amazing developer and publisher, which makes everything I'm saying just all the more depressing. As I mentioned before, EA had enjoyed great success with its sports franchises during the 90s, and deservedly so. However, something happened in 2000 that changed the course of history for the publisher, and that was the release of SSX, a game released under its now legendary EA Sports Big moniker. And this was the birth of the alternative extreme arcade style of a simulation sports franchises that EA would begin to release to a great fanfare. The SSX franchise made you feel like the greatest snowboarder ever, and with its vast move list, and that included some of the most outrageous freestyle moves, playing this game you felt like you could do anything on that board. And the just one more try mentality was never far behind when trying to best those leaderboard scores, especially with split screen multiplayer and playing with friends and family. EA Sports Big was here, and they had proven that it was the best, and it wasn't going to announce itself quietly. But most importantly, EA Sports Big wasn't done, because a year later it released the game that well and truly proved itself to be the crowning jewel of all big franchises, and that was NBA Street. NBA Street would bring street basketball into your home, and coupled with one of the greatest soundtracks ever put into a video game, the experience brought by this game was the most authentic street basketball experience you could get, well, besides actually going to the court yourself. This franchise had the hood buzzing. I remember this game turning people who I personally knew, who definitely weren't gamers, into them going down to a local game station just to buy a PS2, just to get this game, so they can come back to our house eventually and challenge my eldest brother, who was annoyingly god level at this game. NBA Street took over everything sports related, and with the obsession with street basketball in the early 2000s because of platforms like And1, the game's promotion was everywhere, and with everyone talking about it and playing it. EA Sports Big had once again proven itself to being right on the pulse of what the people wanted. EA Sports Big, knowing it was onto something, took that formula and love for the neighborhood experience of these sports games, went on to release equally as great games in FIFA Street and NFL Street. As someone from the UK, NFL isn't anywhere near as popular as it is on the other side of that pond in the US. However, everyone I knew who had played any of the Street franchises owned NFL Street too. even to the surprise of my uncle from New York, who came to visit us one summer and damn near cried tears of joy because he could play NFL Street with us during his visit. And that was the power of EA Big. They could even take a sport that isn't popular in this country of mine and make the game so satisfying and great to play that it ended up in damn near everyone's home. It even happened with FIFA Street. Friends of mine that absolutely cannot be considered footballing fans still bought and played FIFA Street because of the sheer lunacy of what you were able to do on screen. A saucy rainbow flick of the ball through the air from a young David Beckham straight onto the chest of a young Thierry Henry, just for him to pass the ball with the back of his head onto an already airborne Ronaldinho, there to meet the ball with the bicycle kick and end the game. This was what playing FIFA Street was like. This is what we loved, and EA Sports Big knew this. They knew this is what we wanted. Okay, now, maybe for a lot of you, you may not remember this game franchise, but I assure you, for my demographic, as a fighting game loving urban hip hop kid, EA Sports Big did something no one could ever have imagined and no one has ever done since. They partnered up with legendary hip hop record label Def Jam Records to release Def Jam Vendetta, a wrestling game with a roster full of real life Def Jam rap artists like Ludacris, DMX and Method Man, and you had to take control of an up and coming street fighter and work your way to being the best fighter by defeating all of them. The game had full voice acting by those artists, and clearly the game was supported by the record label, as many of the CDs released by the artists signed to Def Jam would include Def Jam Vendetta ads in its promotional packaging, even from artists who didn't feature in the game. This game was insane. You're telling me I can whoop Ludacris's ass to the sounds of his own album? Oh hell yeah, sign me up. The story itself had care and effort put into it, even allowing you to pick between 4 starter characters and you build up their skills and fighting record. EA Sport Big took a huge chance with this franchise and they reaped the benefits because this game sold, and it sold well. EA had 2 races under its belt. The much beloved Need for Speed franchise, which had already seen itself go through many iterations, including a full-on closed circuit based racer, to sprint races, to even the much beloved Hot Pursuit iterations that incorporated the police presence. However, the popularity of car modding street racing that took hold of pop culture due to the surprise mega hit Fast and Furious brought in the best and most popular iteration of the Need for Speed franchise, and that, ladies and gentlemen, was Need for Speed Underground. Need for Speed Underground was by far the deepest, most customizable arcade racer you could get at the time, and just as EA Sports Big did with its street sports franchises, they made sure to bring in as much authenticity to the experience as possible. From the car parts, the manufacturers, to the game soundtrack, everything about Underground screamed out passion project. And this enthusiasm for the game development and marketing was reflected in the high sales the game garnered. If you were a racing fan, Need for Speed Underground was a must, and was always the go-to franchise when you needed a break from the more simulation focused races like Gran Turismo. EA would release Need for Speed Underground 2 a year later in 2004, and the gaming community would rejoice as this game incorporated even more customization and a huge open world for us to just explore at our leisure. However, the absolute pinnacle of all these racing games came in 2005 in the form of Need for Speed Most Wanted, a game that racing games of today are still compared to. From story, graphics to gameplay, everything about this game took the Underground formula and turned the nitrous up to 100 and spat out the results. Need for Speed Most Wanted is without a doubt the best Need for Speed released by EA. You thought EA were done with races, huh? Nope. There's a little known arcade racing franchise by the name of Burnout, developed by Criterion Games, that EA absolutely wanted to be part of their prestigious and ever-growing catalogue, so in 2004 sought out Criterion Games at E3 to develop their 3rd installment under the EA umbrella. With the relationship improving so much, Criterion would be purchased by EA, and Burnout Takedown would be released to great commercial success, with people today still using it as a comparison when judging modern day arcade races. EA's roster of races were not only critical successes, but they were most importantly commercial successes. Battlefield, Medal of Honor. Need I say more? I mean, I will. I'm going to, but it's, self-explanatory. Before Call of Duty's dominance, there was Medal of Honor, a game all about historical accuracy, emotional battles, and engrossing the player in historical fiction. For a lot of us, Medal of Honor Rising Sun was a defining moment in our FPS careers. The blend of storytelling, characters, and missions pulled you in from the jump. Especially the opening mission being a retelling of the assault on Pearl Harbor, the game couldn't have picked a better jump-off point to set the tone of what the player could expect from the rest of this game. However, on the flip side, Battlefield, having this deep tie to the PC community, concentrated its efforts on its online offerings. Battlefield was handling over 100 people in matches long before having high numbers in a single online session became a marketing gimmick. Battlefield was an FPS that demanded a more tactical approach in comparison to the run and gun mechanics found in your typical first-person experience. With its high player counts, ever-changing battlefields, vehicles, objective-based online matches, and squad play, Battlefield was the OG when it came to the online military FPS experience. EA knew how to handle its first-person shooters, and they offered up these two legendary gaming franchises to quench that FPS thirst of yours. Wait, did I say two? That's right, baby. Crysis. Yes, that Crysis. The one we still compare modern-day game graphics to. This game released in 2007, for God's sakes. The fact that people still compare modern-day game graphic releases to Crysis should speak volumes. And the meme, "But can it run Crysis?" alone should tell you just how beautiful this game was. The game dropped you off on an island and tasked you with fighting enemies because of some sort of alien structure found on the island. The story's a bit meh, no one really cares, but that's not the draw for this game. The nanotech suit you wore in this game granted you all these superpowers like invisibility, speed, and strength. You could mix and match all of these abilities in tandem with your surroundings to approach missions in a multitude of ways. This game was so ahead of its time, and it was clear to see Crytek and EA weren't interested in compromising the game's experience and released it the best it could possibly be. Crysis is a graphical benchmark which to some still hasn't been surpassed, and I don't blame anyone for feeling like that. EA knew how to handle shooters. Well guys, I'm gonna have to wrap it up there. This video was a lot longer than I thought it would be, so I'm gonna have to split it into a part A and a part B. Part B is going to be more me concentrating on the actual downfall of EA, but I thought I'd set the tone by letting you guys know what made EA so amazing and why I personally loved and appreciated them so much. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this part of the video. Please like, share, and comment. Most importantly, please subscribe, and I'll see you sometime next week, maybe, or maybe before that, who knows. But stay tuned and I'll let you guys know. Follow me on all my social medias too, and I'll see you guys there.